Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Gayathiri.
Good evening.
All right. Today we have a very special Zoom meeting with our special guest, Dr. Gayathiri Kumarasuriar, who she's is not new with us. I think she's well known among us. She already attended our few meetings and also our fellowships. Dr. Gayathiri Kumarasuriar is a consultant psychiatrist currently practicing in Hospital Malacca and Pantai Hospital Aikaro. She obtained her postgraduate membership from the Royal College of Psychiatric UK, and she has distinction of being the first locally trained psychiatric in Malaysia to have passed the membership examination. She is now a national trainer for psychiatrists for postgraduate psychiatry training in the MOH. She's also the first clinical hypnotherapist to practice hypnotherapy in MOH. Hypnotherapist. Okay, hypnotherapist. Dr. Gayathiri is part of preliminary investigation committee and psychiatry sub-education committee in the Malaysia Medical Council. She was the first lady to be the first chairperson of the Malaysia Medical Association in Kedah, served in the Wilayah Committee, is now part of the MMA Melaka Committee. She wrote the chapter of bullying and harassment in MMA House Officers Handbook. She's an advocate for women empowerment and has given talk on this topic at various organizations. Dr. Gayathiri utilized eclectic techniques incorporating psychotherapy, hypnosis, mindfulness, gratitude, and guided imaginary as part of the management of patients. She is currently the chairperson of MMA Malacca. And we welcome Dr. Gayathiri with our special topic, mental immunity. Hi, Dr. Gayathiri.
Hi. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kumati. And hello, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces. It's been a long time since I've seen some of you. I guess let me start my presentation. All right. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I guess I will not need this. Today, I'm going to talk to you about mental immunity. But however, before that, I think I need to make a mention that 10th of October, a week ago, was World Mental Health Day. And throughout October, we will be celebrating this World Mental Health Day. And basically to promote mental health and to remind everyone how important it is to be healthy, not just physically, but also mentally. So the year in which Mental Health Day was celebrated for the first time was in 1992. And the first time they actually had a proper theme was in 1994. And since then, they've had a theme every year. So this year's theme is mental health is a universal human right. And this comes aptly after, especially after the pandemic, when many amongst us globally suffered from various mental health issues, but did not know where to get and when to get help. So this year's theme is to remind everybody that we all have a right to have a healthy mental health and to go out there and seek for help if you are in distress. So my talk will be a short one, but I hope that within the short while, I'll be able to enlighten everyone about what mental immunity is and how important it is for all of us to have strong mental immunity. So a little bit about mental immunity. Before that, I just want everyone to ask yourselves, do you think that whatever ideas you have in your mind can grow? So do ideas induce the mind to keep thinking of more ideas? I think most of us will agree that's a yes. But does the mind have a system, an immune system, which keeps bad ideas at a distance? It actually does. It's just that most of us do not realize that we have that strength, or most of us have that, but we have not sharpened the skills. Yeah. And the last question is, are bad ideas like parasites that weaken the mind's immune system? If you think about it, whenever we think of something which is negative or something which is not constructive, and we keep thinking about it again and again and again, it tires us, it makes us feel weak, it makes us feel distressed. On the contrary, when you think of something which is happy, something which is more positive, it actually gives you energy, and it makes your day. So I think the answer to this is basically yes. Can the ideas induce the mind to proliferate? Yes. Does the mind have an immune system which keeps the bad ideas at bay? Yes. And are bad ideas parasites that weaken the mind's immune system? The answer is yes. How? We shall find out. So we all are very familiar with the physical immune system. When we are weak physically, what happens? We fall, victim to illness, especially cough and cold. And during the pandemic, every one of us was trying every way possible to strengthen our physical immune system. So the physical immune system has a mechanism in the body which detects bacteria, viruses, or anything that is destructive in our body, and it works towards destroying them, eradicating them before they can cause a damage to our system. So that's the physical immune system that we all know about. However, what many don't realize is that even our mental system has an immune system. So even mentally, we have a system that actually can help us keep bad ideas or bad thoughts at a distance. So what this system does is, just like how the physical system can detect bacteria and destroy it, the mental immune system can also, if we practice and we sharpen it, detect information which is not good, negative information, misinformation that comes into our mind, so that we will be able to recognize, or rather our mind will be able to recognize it automatically and reject it early before it starts proliferating into different ideas. So now question is the mind and body connected? Naturally, it is, because we don't go with the mind on one side and the body on the other side. Both work together. So mental immunity is our mind's capacity to cope with whatever life throws at us, and to bounce back whenever things don't go our way. Mental immunity is also known as cognitive immunity, and it has been around for the last 70 years actually, but it was only made more famous in the last few years by Professor Andy Norman, who has written several books on this. Now, if your mental immune system is healthy, you will be able to identify misinformation. So this can help you detect these not so good ideas early. So when you detect, or when your mind is able to detect these ideas early, it gives you the capacity to reject them and move on without it utilizing your energy and wasting your time. And that's really important because an unhealthy mind weakens your physical immune system as well. Because I told you that when we are tired and we spend so much of time on negative thoughts, it tires us, it makes us weak. And when our physical immune system becomes weaker, we become more susceptible to infections, like I said earlier, pathogen. But it doesn't just stop there. A weak physical system, immune system, also opens us to other disorders which are stress-induced, diabetes, heart problem, and also cancer. So we know that information comes to us in numerous ways today, in today's world. Yeah, you don't even without turning on your handphone, and even if you do not want to look at your phone, your friend will tell you, or people around you will tell you, do you know I heard this? Do you know I heard that? So it's just very vast. But factual information are sadly very difficult for us to detect because we are loaded with so much of misinformation. So factual informations would be reliable and those which are vetted. Now these are helpful to us, whereas the misinformation which comes in truckfuls are unreliable and they are unofficial and they can cause us a lot of distress. And I think we will all agree that we had an onslaught of misinformation during the pandemic. Now, first, before we start strengthening our immune system, mental immune system, we need to identify and know ourselves. We need to know ourselves. We need to recognize our beliefs. We need to recognize the way we look at things, the way we think. In short, we need to know ourselves. Now, that is sometimes a little bit difficult to handle because a lot of us sometimes don't have the courage, and it's not wrong, because we are all human beings and we make mistakes, we have our fears, we have our concerns, so it's okay. But it takes a lot for a person to go down and break into their beliefs and ask themselves, is this belief helping me or is this belief not helping me? Because we grow into beliefs, we are taught beliefs, we absorb beliefs from our family, from our environment, from the cultures that we grew up in. Some of these beliefs may be helpful to us, but some of these beliefs may not be helpful now, though they may have been helpful decades ago or during our parents' or grandparents' time. So to revisit our beliefs and ask ourselves, is our beliefs helping us or is it stopping us from progressing? So, retrospective, going in and reflecting within ourselves. The same thing about your perceptions. Are your perceptions biased or are your perceptions neutral, or you don't have a perception at all? So what about your thoughts? Have you monitored your thoughts? Where do your thoughts go? Are they always drifting towards negativity? Or are they more objective? Or are they sometimes overly positive? Because it's not really normal to be positive all the time. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel unhappy, because those are normal emotions and they are there for a reason. So something not good happens to you, you have to let it out. You have to feel sad, you have to feel angry, but do it appropriately. But what some people do is they sit there, it would have happened a year ago, it would have happened 2 years ago, it would have happened a month ago or months ago, but they still keep going back and thinking about it over and over and over again and bringing themselves down, and thus creating more and more negative ideas and negative thoughts. Yeah. So that's not very healthy. So knowing yourself first is the first step to detecting or to towards strengthening your immune system. Now, once you are aware of yourself and you know where you stand, that makes it easier for you to be able to detect when misinformation comes in, or when, other ideas or propaganda comes in, so that you will be able to protect yourself from misinformation. Okay, so let's move on. What are the benefits? For one, when you know yourself, know where you stand, know what your personal beliefs are, and know your perspective on things, and you have a clear idea about your sense of yourself, that will make your mind more resistant to misinformation, because you're able to analyze, you're able to have the capacity to say, you know what, I used to believe this before, but let me see how much truth is there in what the statement says. And you go and you make a point of verifying it and looking up more valid sites, websites to investigate before you just give into it and become emotional about it and break down. So the more we practice that, the stronger our mental immunity becomes. And when that increases, we become more flexible in our way of thinking. We are not rigid, and we just don't stick to the point. Even sometimes when others tend to make some sense or try to make sense, because you're so rigid in your belief, you just do not want to budge. And that can actually cause a lot of social issues and also relationship issues, whether it is with your family, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with your working colleagues, or whether you are in any other situation. So you become more flexible, and you're able to look at other point of view and think about what others tell you, and verify those as well. Now, when that happens, you become more resilient emotionally, because you don't simply keep getting emotional and keep falling down. You hear something, you think about it, you become more stronger, even in the emotional, your emotional aspect as well. And when you become more stable emotionally, you will end up making better decisions. I think most of us will agree that decisions made when we are emotional, most of the time we may regret the decision sometime later. Whereas when you have the time to think about it and balance your mind and your emotion and make a decision, most of the time, not always, most of the time, the outcome might be just a better one. So when your mental immunity becomes stronger, your capacity to filter misinformation becomes better, you become more flexible in the way you think, it improves yourself to think more critically, yeah? And it helps you detect bad ideas before they start causing harm, not just to you, but also to the people around you. And it builds, like I said, emotional resilience, and the outcome ends up better. Now, how do you strengthen this? What do you do? First thing is, when you need to build awareness of this information, whatever information that comes your way, you need to first take the information, put it aside and say, does this make sense or does it not make sense? So that's your ability to start thinking critically, and your ability to become flexible. Because what happens is you're going to be in the midst of people who are going to say, look at what this propaganda, what this person says, look at the news. When you open Facebook and you go into any of the news portals and you look at the comments that people write, you will get what I mean. You know, everybody has got an idea, and it's very sad sometimes when you see how people say things, how people talk, and, you know, and it can become very extreme, and the way they attack others. So you can use that as your practice side. Look at that. And in fact, that kind of helped me build a lot of my mental strength. When I look at statements made by others, I take those statements and I go and investigate, is this justified, is this not? And that kind of, you know, helped me build my mental immunity better. Just don't get affected by it so much, and don't start, you know, typing your response, yeah, after reading such things. But that's just one way. So when you keep practicing, because practice definitely makes perfect, you will be able to detect misinformation. Or if you're not sure, you have the, you know, the foresight to tell yourself, let me go and check, is this true or not? Yeah. The second thing is to develop healthy meta beliefs. So meta beliefs is about believing in your beliefs. Are your beliefs believable? Do they make sense? Are they constructive beliefs? Or do these beliefs that you have actually eat you away and causes destruction amongst the people around you? So going in and asking yourself to explore your beliefs. So that's what meta beliefs is. So it involves monitoring and, you know, appraising your own thoughts. So that becomes like an internal guide, right? And the third point is practice self-reflection. That means to neutrally evaluate your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your actions. And that is a key to self-awareness. Now, at the beginning, it might be challenging and it's not easy, especially when people accuse you of something and all that, you know, but it takes practice, and after some time, it becomes way much easier. And when you actually develop this mental immunity, you will achieve a sense of peace and a sense of freedom, and wake up in a better mood every day. You will not allow bad news to affect you, because even when you see the bad news, you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to find out whether this is really true, right? And if it is, then you feel sad about it because it's there. But if it is not, you just tell yourself, yeah, well, you know, people say all sorts of things, and move on with your life. So what are the measures to take? Critically understand and assess any information reported by all forms of media or news that you get from the people who are around you, or messages that you get from others. You know, don't just take everything and believe everything, because sometimes you may hear things about people you don't like. And as human beings, we want to believe that, you know, but it doesn't really benefit us. So it's good to actually sit and analyze, yeah, because it makes you a better person and it makes you a healthier person. Recognizing your mental state and learning how to control it and guide it, and also asking yourself open-ended questions and writing it down. Sometimes when you think it becomes confusing, writing down your thoughts and looking at it and saying, am I actually thinking the right way? Why am I thinking this way? Is very, very helpful. So be honest about what you are feeling. You can be honest with yourself. And give yourself some time to worry. If things are really affecting you, it's okay to be worried about it, especially when you start at the beginning. But don't sit there too long, because it will drain you. Be mindful when you observe. Give your attention to whatever it is and try to focus on whatever you are, observing, and sit and critically, reflect. Don't always identify with what makes you struggle. We have a tendency as human beings to keep going towards negative aspects, negative thoughts. That's actually, in a way, the mind works as to bring on the survival mode in within ourselves, because it wants to protect us by keeping us alert and so on. But actually, the more you identify with what makes you struggle, the more stressed you become. And the more stressed you become, the unhealthier you become, the more tired you become. So give yourself the opportunity and the chance to focus on what makes you happy. Yeah. Embrace a hobby. It can be anything. You do not have to do what everybody does. Your hobby can be unique as long as it makes you relax and it brings you peace. Exercise regularly. It does not mean that you need to go to the gym. It does not mean that you need to spend money or buy expensive equipments. Just brisk walking, gardening, doing a little dance in your house, exercising at home, all those are good enough as long as you give yourself some time. But be mindful that when you are exercising, when you're embracing your hobby, your thoughts must be on that and not drift towards negativity. It's okay for you to think about happy things, but be mindful that when you are exercising, as you're exercising, don't monitor where your thoughts are going. And if it's going towards something that makes you struggle, bring it back. Now, the more you keep doing it, the more you keep practicing it, sooner or later, it will become a habit, and you will find yourself focusing more on happier things in life rather than your struggles. Communicate, network with people, don't isolate yourself, go out there and, whatever society, whatever, groups that make you comfortable, reach out to a friend, reach out to a relative whom you feel that you've not contacted for a long time. Make sure that you don't keep yourself to yourself, because when you are alone and you just sit doing nothing, the mind will wander. And we all know that because it happens to all of us. Watch comedies, watch light-hearted movies that make you laugh. Avoid looking at all the dramas and serials that, just bring on negativity. Life is already negative enough. Why do you want to add on to it? Yeah. That little while that you have to spare, why don't you just sit and watch happier things so that your mind will be in a more positive mood? So in summary, mental immunity is the ability to cope with challenges. It is dependent on how you understand, how you observe, and how you are able to help your mind reconcile from painful thoughts or events. It helps you survive hardship and sustain during hard times. And finally, as a last summary, it refers to our ability to screen out bad ideas and become more resilient, but at the same time, allowing good ideas to flow in. Good mental immunity allows a person to go through, to observe, and to analyze painful thoughts without becoming sidetracked or suppressing them. It helps growth by allowing a person to face adversity and go through it constructively. So when we are rigid, and if we allow ourselves with more positivity in our lives, our mind starts becoming more flexible. And when we have a flexible mind, I'm not talking about people who are like Lalang who cannot make decisions. No, I'm talking about being more flexible and able to look at different points of view. You will have a much more healthier and peaceful mental health, which will transmit to your physical health as well. So with that, I thank you Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Gayathiri?
Shu, any questions, Shu? Are we? Mr. Sadhguru? We know?
Nothing for me.
No questions. Just want to say hi to Dr. Gaya.
Hi, Vino, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for your kind sharing.
Most welcome.
Kamu?
Nothing.
What nothing? Sarah?
Everyone must be in deep thought thinking about this. I think this is not a topic which is common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing their own assessment now.
Yes, exactly. Everyone is sitting and thinking, what was she just telling? Oh my God. No?
Already give our mental to work now.
Yeah. It is something that is possible. It may be a little challenging at first, but I think everything that we do goes back to ourselves. The ability for us to recognize ourselves, the way we think, how we, whether we accept that we can be wrong. And that's a little challenging for us, because we always feel that, how can I, sometimes the ego gets in the way, and like, I can't say that I'm wrong and things like that. But you don't have to be ashamed of yourself, because nobody will know. It's about you and you reflective within yourself, because at the end of the day, you want to bring peace to yourself. At the end of the day, you want to be healthy. We see a lot of people who are so focused on physical health. They spend so much of time, so much of energy on their physical health. But unfortunately, the mental health is not given the same amount of attention. Yeah. Physically, we are fit, but mentally, there's so much of things going on inside. And then when they end up sick, or when they end up with disease and disorders, everybody is like, oh my God, this person is so careful with his food. He's so careful with his, health, physical health. But actually, when you sit and talk to these people, you'll find that there's so many things inside that's just running around in their mind. And it takes a toll on your health. So to achieve this balance, it is challenging. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what is your goal? If your goal is to stay healthy, then we have to start somewhere. Yeah.
Sounds like the beta thinking or your own thinking.
Meta beliefs. Sorry?
Beta thinking about your own
Meta beliefs. Yeah. It's about thinking, breaking down your thoughts. So we think, a lot of us, these negative thoughts are very automatic. You'll be sitting down and watching television, or you'll be driving, and suddenly you get these thoughts coming in. It's good when because they're automatic, they're actually a habit. And when they're automatic, what happens is, when you capture and you're like, I'm thinking about this now. Oh, catch it and break it down. Why am I thinking about this? Why did this thought suddenly come to me? Okay, what is this thought? Break it down. And how is that helping me now? Because what happens is, we allow these negative thoughts to come in without us realizing, because nobody wants to think negatively voluntarily unless you are having an issue at that point. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And then it makes you distressed. But when you catch it and you break it and you analyze it objectively, what happens is, you're breaking it apart. And then sometimes you realize that This makes no sense at all, you know. So by doing this, whenever we realize that we're having these automatic negative thoughts, actually will actually help us detect the thought. So that is one way of strengthening your mental immunity. So the moment the thought comes in, because your mental immunity is strong, it's like a gate there, and you'll be like, it's there now, break it up, go away, it's not helping. Yeah. So it's practice makes perfect. And when we do that and we keep practicing that, we also we will have that resilience and also the capacity to be able to detect, or whenever any news comes, you may not be able to detect whether it's positive or negative, but it gives you the capacity to say, okay, hold on, let me analyze this. Does this make sense? Rather than just closing our eyes and just, swallowing all the propaganda and stuff outside there. Yeah.
Any other question?
Also, it sounds like you might need some external, other person
To teach you, to coach you.
If you think about it yourself, you might become overthinking. Is there a nature of that?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
It sounds like maybe if you're doing your own thinking about your own thinking all the time, can lead to overthinking.
Yes. No, you don't do that all the time. You only do that. You see, people overthink. Most people overthink anyway, and they overthink negative things, right?
Yeah.
What you're doing now is catching those negative thoughts and breaking it. So when you break this and you realize that it's nothing, eventually your negative thoughts will start becoming lesser and lesser. And then when your mind realizes that all these thoughts that you're overthinking is actually nothing, you'll be like, why have I been wasting my time anyway? And you become more alert when your mind keeps bringing in new stuff. And eventually you will end up, not overthinking. But it's a long process. And it's something that you have to do actively. I mean, if you can actively exercise yourself to keep yourself physically fit, this is another exercise to keep yourself mentally fit.
Is that we need a mentor or we need a coach? Like we don't know whether it will disturb our mental, that informations. But
it is, if you need a coach to help you, by all means, you can. There are so many coaches out there who are happy to help. But these are little exercises that we can do ourselves. Start by practicing. When you read a news, start with that. The moment you read a news, if your tendency is to believe it 100%, before, to make a change, you ask yourself, okay, now let me try and see. Now I got this news. How do I verify that this is real, this is true, or not? And then you examine. See, it's a lot of work, but people are happy to do this work. They're happy to climb the mountains. They're happy to go trekking. They're happy to climb the Himalayas. But when it comes to this, they'll be like, oh, so much work, I cannot do. But you have to start somewhere. And that is where you examine your beliefs. I believe in these things. So now is my belief. It can be very interesting because it can distract you from worrying unnecessarily. It gives you something to do, but it is constructive. Rather than you sitting, taking that news and letting it grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and making you upset, and you take it and you break it out, and then you say, where do my beliefs come in here? And make that an exercise.
Dr. Gaya, do you think journaling can help with this mental immunity? And, it's actually our thought process, right?
Yes. I did mention in one of my slides just now, in your self-reflection, writing down your thoughts is very helpful, because especially when the thoughts keep circling in your mind, it can become jumbled. But when you take it from there and you put it down and you write it, a lot of people, including myself, I'm only human, even though I'm a psychiatrist and hypnotherapist. When you write it down, you look at this, that thought, and you say, why am I sitting down and is this is bugging me? Oh my God, sometimes it's silly thoughts. Sometimes it's thoughts that really affect us. And I write it down, or you write it down and you say, okay, now why is this affecting me? And then you just journal, and you ask yourself again after reading it, how do you feel? Are my emotions about these thoughts too strong? And then you start seeing what is another way for me to look at the situation that triggered these thoughts. So journaling, yes, is very, very powerful. Thank you,
Okay.
Vina, for that question.
Welcome, Dr. Gaya. And another thing, maybe like, can you please explain how mindfulness, gratitude practice, and also positive affirmation can actually help to improve our mental immunity?
Sure. What does gratitude do? Gratitude makes you focus on what you have rather than what you don't have. So when we keep focusing on what we see as human beings, we always focus on what we don't have and compare ourselves with the others. We do that. But when you start expressing and constantly focusing on what you have and count your blessings, not only does it make you feel happier in your heart, it strengthens your immune system physically as well as mentally. It also produces neurotransmitters which actually help you feel good and stronger, right? What mindfulness does is mindfulness also works in the same way. Remember, I told you that when you are exercising, focus on good thoughts, focus on your exercise, focus on your hobby. That is mindfulness. And when you are practicing and allowing yourself to focus on what's in front of you in the present, in the now, your mind becomes trained. It's an exercise. So it doesn't allow your mind to wander all over the place. And what mindfulness does is it also produces almost similar neurotransmitters that gratitude produces. Only thing is the effect of gratitude is apparently very strong, much stronger. If you combine both, how do you combine both? By focusing on what you have and allowing your mind to just go deep into what you have. And that is, combining mindfulness and gratitude. Now, coming back to positive affirmation, there is no point just verbalizing your affirmation. A lot of people say, I'm positive, I'm positive. You can't be positive all the time. That just doesn't work. When you're supposed to be sad, allow yourself to be sad. Okay? So I just want you all to understand that I'm not saying that you must be positive all the time. But when you actually give yourself the time to affirm positively, you need to allow those emotions to come out. That means really feel it, because emotions are the power to your thoughts. Your thoughts without emotions have no power. It is your emotions that give your thoughts power, right? And makes an impression within you, within your mind, to trigger these neurotransmitters. Okay? So when you keep practicing this, and your focus is more on, and you learn to channel your focus, it helps you, it prevents you from drifting into negativity, because you've already formed a habit. And when you tie it with emotions, what happens is it becomes stronger. That's it. So when you have a positive affirmation, think about a situation in your life that makes you if you can link it with that positive information, it is even, the effect will be even stronger. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very detailed explanation.
Any other question? If no other question, pass to committee.
Thank you. Gopal. Thank you so much, Dr. Gayathiri. I think these informations and the knowledge you shared really helpful, and I think everybody is keep on. After this, they will keep practicing.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
All the best to everyone.
Yes, after this, we'll start write down, journal it out, so that we'll be mentally immune after this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and
Most
have a
welcome.
great day.
Yes. Thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone. Good night.